Hello everyone, RS Jafarzadeh here, and today we're going to be looking at how to take this beautiful landscape of a city and convert it into like a metropolitan looking planet. And it's actually surprisingly easy to do this project. I'm going to walk you through the basics of it and some of the tools you'll need to make your own metropolitan planet. So let's start off first of all by looking at our image. We have this landscape image. You'll see I'm zoomed out at 16.7%. This image is actually quite large. If I zoom into the normal size of the image, it's actually this big. So you can see it's at 100%. So this is how big the image is under normal circumstances. So it's quite large. So you want to try to find an image. I'm pressing Control 0 to zoom out here, but you want to find an image that's approximately in the 2 megapixels and up, because we're going to be distorting it so much. Anyway, once you've done that, we're going to start off by unlocking the layer. So I'm just going to double click this because this was originally a JPEG image. And I'm just going to call this background here and click OK. So you can see the lock is gone and it's just named background. The next thing I need to do is also have the image become a square. And the reason for that is when I am going to convert it into a sphere, well, planets are spherical in shape, and there's a little bit, sometimes depending on the composition of the planet and probably the speed of its rotation, it might bulge out from the equator a little bit of where it's rotating, but generally speaking, they're pretty round. So what I'm going to do first is take this image and make it into a square so that I can then take that square and convert it into a circle. Otherwise, I'm going to get a kind of sphere, a lopsided looking planet. It won't look right. So to do that, I'm going to go to Image and click Image Size. Once I'm in Image Size, here, I'm going to uncheck the box. I'm going to turn off the check mark that says Constrained Proportions. This should not have a check, because otherwise, when you change one, it will automatically change the other. In fact, if you see a little chain here, that's not what you want. So uncheck that box for this project, and normally we do want the chain there, but for this specific time we don't. We want to squish it together, and whatever it says for the height, I'm just going to type that exact number for the width. So it says 2,594, so I'm going to type in 2,594. When you do this project, your height's going to obviously be different, unless you're using the exact same picture. So type in whatever you see for the height, and make sure these two match, and then click OK. And that's going to squish it in to a square. It's going to distort the image. The other thing is, I want to wrap it around and make it look like a planet. The problem is that Photoshop, when I use the filter to do that, it wraps it around the top part. And so if I do that, it's going to look like the planet, the buildings are facing inward, but I don't want that. I want them to face outward. So I'm going to flip this image upside down. And to do that, go to Edit, Transform, and click Rotate 180 degrees, or you can say Flip Vertical. Either of these will work fine. If this is grayed out, that just probably means you forgot to unlock your layer. So go back and do that. So I'm going to click Flip Vertical there, and now it's set. I can go to Filter, Distort, and choose Polar Coordinates. Polar Coordinates will take that image and convert it into what looks like a planet. It's like the buildings are wrapped around it. Just make sure that you've selected rectangular to polar. I'll click OK, and there's my image. Just zoom in, Control plus. There it is. This is a good start here. As you can see, I have the buildings wrapped around, the ocean, and the sky. So now let's clean it up. The sky is the easy part. Let's start there. The sky, as you can see, kind of have these weird lines here, and there's this line going through here, and that's because the edges of the image, when it was a landscape, the blue on one side was different than the other. So the easy fix here is just to go on my brush tool. That's B for brush. Make sure that it's in brush mode, not in pencil mode. So make sure you actually choose brush. Choose a soft brush. It should be this first one on the list. If your brushes look all weird and wonky, just click this little gear and say Reset Brushes, and click OK. And that should reset your brushes to what you see here. Double click on the first one, and also make sure you choose a pretty big size. Mine's in the hundreds, and everybody's going to be a little bit different, but you want it to be relatively big. And you also want to choose a color that closely matches your sky. So here I click my foreground color, and then I can choose the color that I want by just clicking in the area. And you can see it updates my image here with the color I chose. So there we go. I'm going to choose the color I like. I'm going to choose this kind of blue color and click OK. And then just paint it in. If my brush is a little bit too big, I can just mark it down a little more and paint it in. I like to work with a pretty big brush so it's like smoother. But I'm just literally just clicking and dragging. Let me hold spacebar and click and drag here. And just painting this area. And the way I switch to the hand tool, in case you don't know that or you forgot, you just hold spacebar and click and drag to look at different parts of your image. So that's basically it. The background is done. Now it's time for the middle part. To do that, we're going to go over to the clone stamp tool. The clone stamp tool literally clones an area. And the way it works is this. You go on the clone stamp, obviously, and then you choose a soft brush, just like before. Choose a pretty big brush. I'm choosing one that's relatively large. And then what I'm going to do is hold Alt and choose the area that I want to clone. So I hold Alt on my keyboard and I click. And I just selected that area that I want to clone. Let's zoom in a little bit. And then here I can draw a little bit there, and then hold Alt and choose a new area, click, draw a little bit there, hold Alt, click a new area, draw a little bit there. And basically I'm just kind of going in, holding Alt and choosing new locations and cloning it and trying to blend it together. So that way it looks like it's more smooth rather than a sharp line. I can do the same thing with these buildings here. If I zoom in on this part, you'll see there's a weird cutoff there. I can do the same thing. Hold Alt and then just make this a little bit smaller here and kind of just duplicate that. Maybe duplicate these trees here and try to kind of fade it so I don't see that sharp line there. So it looks a little bit better. So I think that looks pretty good. Hold Alt here. Maybe duplicate that area there. Hold Alt. And I think that looks a little better. What do you guys think? I think it looks pretty good. And then I'm just going to zoom out, and there I have it, my Metropolitan planet. You can see it's pretty fun and easy. Go ahead and work on it. Try it for yourself. Don't forget to save your progress when you're done. And I will see you next time. Bye for now.